Okay, so this is the review for the quiz on solving quadratic equations using square roots and completing the square. Okay. So numbers 1 through 4, solve each equation by taking square roots. So in order to solve for x, you have to first get x squared by itself. So you have to isolate x squared. So for this first problem, you're going to add 8 to each side of the equation first. So you get 7x squared equals 335 plus 8, which is 343. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to divide each side by 7. So it gives you x squared equals 49. And then you take the square root of each side. So the square root of x squared is just x. And you're going to do positive and negative square root of 49. That's a perfect square. That's going to be positive and negative 7. Okay. Number 2, first thing you're going to do is subtract 2 on each side. So negative 10x squared equals negative 180. Then you're going to divide each side by negative 10. So you get x squared equals 18. Right? Then you take the square root of each side. So x equals positive and negative square root of 18. And then you simplify the square root of 18 with the list of perfect square numbers. I'm going to use 9 times 2. And the square root of 9 is 3, so x is going to equal positive and negative 3 square root of 2. Okay, number 3. Again, get x squared by itself, so I'm going to add 8 to each side first. So 2x squared equals negative 30. Then you're going to divide by 2. X squared equals negative 15. Then you take the square root of each side, so the square root of x squared is just x. Positive and negative square root of negative 15. And then you want to see if you can simplify that. Now you can definitely break this apart into square root of 15 times square root of negative 1. And the square root of negative 1 becomes I, but you cannot simplify the square root of 15, so that's going to stay. So my final answer is going to be written like this: positive and negative I square root of 15, like that. Okay, this next one, let's subtract 6 on each side. So 8x squared equals negative 160. Divided by 8, x squared equals negative 20. Take the square root of each side, positive and negative on the right. So we get that. And then you got to simplify the square root of 20 using the perfect square numbers. Remember, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. I'm going to use 4. So I'm going to rewrite it as 4, square root of 4, square root of 5, square root of negative 1. And the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of negative 1 is I. So 2I, and the square root of 5 stays like that. Okay, so that's the front page of the quiz review. Those were just solving using square roots. Okay, solving by using square roots. Now the back side is going to be solving by completing the square. So whenever you want to complete the square, you got to get x squared and x on one side and you need your constant term on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 19 on each side. So I get x squared plus 14x equals negative 24. Negative 5 minus 19 is negative 24. Next, I'm going to complete the square. So I'm going to do this. On the left, x squared plus 14x plus blank equals, on the right, negative 24 plus blank. So my side work is going to be this. Okay, this is my side work. Take that 14, whatever that number is right there, in this case 14, divide it by 2, and you get 7. Then you take that 7 and you square it. It gives you 49. Okay, so that's my side work. That's my side work right there. That 49 is a number that I add to each side of the equation. So plus 49, plus 49. Okay. So now what I do is now I factor the left. This is going to become something squared. It's called completing the square. So you can either factor, look for two numbers that multiply to 49 and add to 14, so 7 and 7, or the shortcut is it's whatever that number is. Okay, so it's a 7 and it's positive. So the left is going to become x plus 7 squared. And on the right, this equals 25. So now we take the square root of each side. The square root of x plus 7 squared is x plus 7. And on the right, you're going to take the positive and negative square root of 25. Bring the 7 over, subtract 7 on each side. X equals negative 7, plus or minus square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is 5. So x equals negative 7 plus or minus 5. So that means I have negative 7 plus 5 and negative 7 minus 5. So this is going to become x equals negative 2. And this other one becomes x equals negative 12. So those are my two answers for that one. Okay. So one more, completing the square. Again, you want x squared and x on one side, your number on the other side, so that's done. So I'm going to put my blanks. X squared plus 6x plus blank equals negative 72 plus blank. And the question is, what number goes in the blanks? So this will be my side work right here. Take this 6, always divide it by 2. Gives me 3, and then always square that, so you get 9. So that 9, that's the number you're going to add to each side. Plus 9, plus 9. Okay. So now the left, you're going to factor the left, what multiplies to 9 and adds to 6. Shortcut is it's whatever that number is. So x plus 3 squared. Equals negative 72 plus 9 is negative 63. Now you take the square root of each side. The square root of x plus 3 squared is just x plus 3 equals positive and negative square root of negative 63. So now what you do is you're going to subtract the 3 on each side, bring the 3 over. X equals negative 3 plus or minus square root of negative 63. And now you have to simplify the square root of negative 63 using the list of perfect square numbers, 1, 4, 9, 16, and so on. And the perfect square you want is going to be 9. So 9 times 7 and then times the square root of negative 1 still. The square root of negative 9 becomes 3. And the square root of negative 1 becomes I, so 3i, and the square root of 7 stays. And notice how I write my answer. That's the way it should look. So that's the end of that quiz review. Again, the front side was solving using square roots, and the back side was solving by completing the square.